It's a container, it's designed for one of the container well cars, pocket wagon. We're doing some weathering on it. I'm using the life colours, a little bit of rust, dots here and there. Something this small, where you're not doing a big rust job, you're only doing a small amount of rust, where it's been across the ocean 2 or 3 times and up and down the country twice. So it's not had loads of hammer, but it is taking some beating of the weather and stuff. So let me see. So I'm using a cocktail stick. I'm just putting a few dabs. I'll pay attention to these areas where they lock together with this, and a couple on the higher edges, you know, where branches, whatever, when it's on the road or on the rails. Now that's good enough. It's just a brown blob in it, you know. Just a blob of brown paint at the moment, and that's good enough if it's driving past, you know, you're driving past and you see that and it goes past you on the train, no one's going to pick it up and look at it and say, oh, it's just brown blobs of paint. The thing is, when you really scrutinise it, you'll find that these pieces of paint, these blobs of paint, are actually convex, like a little dome, like a bolt head. Now, this is all right if you just want one to look at from a distance, but what if somebody sends me a container, a car, a wagon, a train, whatever it is, and they say, I want it better than that, I don't want it just with a few brown blobs of paint, anyone can do that. I want it to look like rust, so that if it does come under scrutiny, it's going to stand up to it, you know. And so you can say a container this size, you can see the rust there coming on that if we're close up at it. Now, just for brown blobs of paint, I wouldn't bother doing it, because it's anyone can do it, it's not worth doing. To make it look like paint, to make it not look like blobs of paint, to make it rusty and get close up, you've got to work close up so that something is going to get a medium weathered, I call this, a medium weathered all the way around. Somebody sends me that, they're going to pay 10 quid, they're going to get a good quality, medium weathered, slightly dirty, a bit of rust here and there and a bit of a rusty wash, stuff like that. But they want it looking right for that money, don't they? You don't want to just get blobs of paint on it, they want it looking like rust and streaky and dirty. And this is where my digital microscope comes in. I'm going to see if I can get the screen of the Digimic. We're actually looking at the screen. The Digimic can actually record itself, you know, and you put a little card in and it records it. You can see there, that's just a blob of damn paint, isn't it? Look, we've done that, looks like a blob of paint. So how are we going to make that look like rust so the customer is getting his money's worth for his 10 bucks, what is his 10 quid or whatever, you know? Different, if he sent me a big bag full of them and said I want them all medium rust, look like they've been about for 5 years, up and down the country and across the ocean a couple of times, obviously he's not going to be wanting to pay 10 quid for each one. So, you know, you negotiate a better price, a better deal. But so what I do now, I use this, and you can see there's a lot of paint on there already. Now, you couldn't see that if it wasn't on the screen. Now, I know this is a poor picture. This is a poor picture because it's going second and third hand through the screen. But I can put just a little bit onto there. Looking a slight bit better. Still looking like blobs of paint though, so we need to adjust that to make it look like rust. And we keep manipulating and adding until we get each blob looking like a proper rust patch. You can see that there. Yeah, this is going to take some time. But then someone's going to get a good product, aren't they, that they're happy with. And now I'll add a third colour to that when I've gone round and done all the others. You see, from a distance they look alright, don't they? But when you get to it like that, driving past it looks alright, but when you get up close, it's just a blob of damn paint. Anyone can do that. And that's what you're thinking. I wouldn't pay it. I wouldn't pay you a single halfpenny to do the job for me, because all you're doing is a blob of paint. You know, your kids can do that, can't they? So you've got to make it so it's looking good, you know. Now I should have flattened some of these darker colours out beforehand. Scraped them out a bit. And we can go back and add a bit darker to it and what have you. And it's going to take some time, but I don't know if you can see that. Sorry, I'm trying to get it on there. That's the one we're wanting. I'm so sorry about this. I'm trying to work differently. Now I have pre-recorded looking at some of this rust under the Digimic, and I've recorded it using the Digimic's recording card and what have you. And what I'll do with it, I'll just keep working on it until I get it something like looking better like rust. And I'll add 3 or 4 colours. There's another one there that needs doing, and we'll just keep going on like this. And so you ask yourself when you're doing these jobs, is it good enough, you know? And like I've said, horses for courses, some people want a really good job, which is what I prefer to do, rather than just, you know, it's like light weathering, medium weathering and heavy weathering, and it's 3 prices. Light weathering for a £5, medium weathering for a £10, and heavy weathering for 15 or whatever. But people want the money's worth, and they want it to look right, and they want it to look good, which is what I try to give them. And so it's not the easiest task to do, but I'll just come away from that. It's worth doing it, and worth doing it right, isn't it? Now these will get rusted up like I've done on these, and then we've just had an overspray of dirt and stuff. And there's a little bit more can be done. There's a bit of wear on the paint. There's a couple of streaks we can put on there and add to it, depending on what the customer wants, you know. If they want rust streaks and what have you. And what I'd do is I'd send progress pictures, you see, so they know if they're happy or not. These are a couple of chips that were already in there, so I decided to make use of them and rust them up. But I'm happy with it so far. And it's, yeah, it's looking quite good. I'll include that little bit of footage at the end of this video that I took using the Digimic. But it does help, believe it or not, it does help me to get a better picture and makes it look better. So that's all it is really, just showing you how I do my weathering and how I make sure that it's good enough for people. And especially for a paying customer, it's good enough, and they're not paying ridiculous amounts of money, and they're getting the money's worth. Make it look real as you can for them, you know, instead of just putting a few blobs of paint and then clearing off and saying, yeah, there you go. Which, like I say, is good enough for just someone driving past, isn't it? While you drive past, you see it on the train and you don't bother. But if you want a close-up look at it, especially if you paid for it, you're going to want it to, you're going to get to have a close-up look, aren't you? So that's what I use the Digimite for, and I think it turns out good in the end. But I'll stick that footage on. It's not the best camera on there, but I'll stick that little bit of footage on so you can see. It's a bit wibbly wobbly because it was the first time I'd used it to film anything, but I'll stick that on and you can see how it looks under the mic a little bit better than what I've just shown you. That's all it is. It'll probably take me an hour or so to finish this roof off, or maybe a little bit longer. Put a few more rusts on it, and these areas where they're locked together and stuff, they get a lot of hammer. That's all it is. Thank you ever so much for looking in. Thank you everyone. I do appreciate each and every one of you, and the new subs as well. Thank you ever so much. Please do give us a thumbs up if you like what you're seeing. It does help out, and subs are always welcome. Thank you ever so much, my friends. Bye bye for now, and do take care. Bye bye now.